And now, All the Dirt, gardening tips and advice. Sponsored by Farm Credit, loans for farms, homes, and land.
Welcome back. Well, they told us how to break up with their manicured lawns, and today they are going to teach us how to ditch those traditional invasive landscape plants. Kai and Andreas Panagore from Ecoscape in Roanoke, thank you so much for giving us all the dirt today on some of these native plant alternatives. I'm excited.
We are too.
All right, so I know we've covered this a lot before on All the Dirt, but I really think that it's helpful to just continue to say it because this is so important these days. What are native plants?
So a native plant is any plant that is naturally occurring in an ecoregion without the help of humans, okay? So in the case of North America, that would be anything that was here prior to European settlement.
Okay, and we have a lot of plants that have, come overseas over the years, and so we're continuing to learn how important these native plants are for so many reasons. So tell us why exactly we should be swapping out some of these traditional landscape plants for these native ones.
So there's three main reasons for this, Amanda. Firstly, most of our indigenous pollinators actually co-evolved with host plants, making them specialists. Our introduced honeybees that we have are generalists. They're able to use a lot of different plants, but the native bees need these specific plants in order to complete their life cycles. And as these plants start to disappear due to habitat loss, our native bee populations go into decline. Secondly, these ornamental invasive plants tend to be things we use often because they are very successful, they do well. But unfortunately, that also means that they can spread easily. So they're part of the reason for this habitat loss, and they don't provide the food that our pollinators need. The last reason is that these exotic plants tend to be overused. A good example of a problem that we have now as far as really bad diseases go is boxwood. They're starting to be decimated by a fungus because we've just simply overused them in the landscape.
Wow, and I know that is a really popular one. I see boxwood. Is it because it's deer resistant, right?
Yes.
And that's why it's really popular?
It's deer resistant and it's evergreen, and traditionally it's been very tough. Now we do have great alternatives. As far as we know, an inkberry holly is a really good choice for that. It looks really similar, but it is unaffected by pest and disease. It doesn't need to be trimmed, and it's almost identical, but it has a great value.
Yeah, and there we have that right there on their screen for you too.
Excellent.
So the inkberry holly is to your right, and that's a better alternative, a native alternative.
That's correct, yes.
And what other some alternatives are there out there for those traditional landscaping plants?
So one of the big ones people like to use, and you see a lot, is Japanese barberry. This escapes cultivation, and we know that it harbors ticks and increases tick populations. A good alternative is highbush blueberry, actually, because this supports over 250 species of butterflies and moths.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And another one that we see a lot is an ornamental grass called maiden grass, which is actually highly flammable and dangerous to have at your house. But a good alternative for this is going to be a switchgrass. And then there's, of course, the English ivy, which everybody has seen growing everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yep,
I hate it. It's so hard to get rid of.
On houses,
constantly.
exactly. And a good alternative for this is something like a creeping phlox or the green and gold, and those don't spread up structures.
I need this because let me tell you, the English ivy has overtaken my backyard, and it is so hard to get out.
It's the worst.
You got to stay on it. You got to provide competition.
All right, and so there was one more I wanted to ask you about. I have one of these and I can't stand it because it smells. The pear, what is it called?
Oh, the Bradford pear, yes.
Yes, I want that gone. So that's invasive, right?
That is invasive, yes. It has crossbred with the Callerly pear, which is the wild type that is very invasive, and they have big thorns, they smell bad, and they don't provide a good wildlife food and everything. So a really great comparative alternative is going to be the serviceberry, which has berries that you can eat, wildlife can eat, beautiful fall color, gorgeous white blooms in the spring, and it definitely doesn't have that odor.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that odor is the worst.
Yeah,
It's nasty.
because they attract flies, so they're meant to smell bad, essentially.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, if we could just get rid of them, they're all over the city too.
Oh man.
Unfortunately, yes.
All across the
exactly.
highways.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, these are some really interesting alternatives. I love that we're talking about native plants. I want everybody to know more about native plants. And you guys do such awesome work. So if folks are interested in learning more about what you do, where can they go? How can they get in touch with you?
You can find us online, ecoscapeva.com, or on Instagram, Ecoscape LLC. You can actually find a recipe using those June berries on the screen there on our website. Yeah. But if you want a more comprehensive list of these alternatives, you can go to virginia.gov. They have a huge one. Or you can go to any one of our wonderful local nurseries and simply ask them, we're looking for native alternatives. What you got?
Yeah, they always know, because I'm always like, give me the native. I'd rather have the native. Oh my gosh.
Perfect.
I love the information you guys always bring to us. Thank you so much. We have Kai and Andreas Panagore from Ecoscape. Thanks so much for giving us all the news today on native alternative plants.
Thank you for
having us. Thank you so much, Amanda.
All right, stick around. WFXR News at noon. We'll be right back.